Good morning, Morai Rabotai. We are continuing on Masechet Avodah Zarah and Daf Yudchet, Amud Bet, 17 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Today's Amud is being learned. L'schut Yoshua ben Diana, Yal bat Rivka, Menashe ben Asi. Today's Amud is also being learned. The Ilu Nishmat Tzipora bat Yitzchak, and we are still amidst very classic agatas in the Gemara. Now they're going to be like short one-liners, a lot of it, in the coming Amud. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Kol HaMitloses. This is Gemara that talk about Letzanut, because we spoke about the prohibition of going to this Roman productions that they had for Letzim, for just pastime type of entertainment. And the Gemara mentioned that the entertainments that they had was a transgression of Letzanut, Moshav Letzim, what we call, the gatherings of scoffers. So says the Gemara, Kol HaMitloses, what's so bad about Letzanut? So of course, the Gemara already said that it shows you that this brings a person to Bitul Torah. But really, it's more than just wasting time. When a person is a light-headed person, scoffer, makes fun of everything, and makes light of every serious situation, he'll never take anything seriously. And if you don't take anything seriously, you'll never change for the good. Right? You could have 100 Musa Shmuzes, right? And Tshuva Drashas, and one guy comes and makes a good, authentic Letzanut, and the whole thing is down the drain. Washes everything off. That's the koach of Letzanut. The koach of using humor in a negative way, and they made the entertainment industry out of it. So that, of course, is something that Chazal were extremely concerned about. And says the Gemara, Kol HaMitloses, Yesurin ba'im alav. A person that does Letzanut, he causes himself difficulties, Yisurim in life, right? Shenemar, as it says, Vata al titlosesu, don't be a letz, don't be a scoffer. Pen yechazku moserechem. The chas v'shalom, in order not to have strong moserot milashon Yisurim, not to have to deal with difficult Yisurim. Amar lehu Rava al-Rabbanan. Rava told his students to the Chachamim, B'matuta minaychu. B'matuta. The Rava is the one that says this language usually. B'matuta, I ask you, I beg you, please. Ba'ina minaychu. De'lo titlosesu. That you should not be a letz. Don't be a light-headed person. Don't do letzanut. De'lo laitu alaychu yisurin. In order that yisurim should not come upon you. Amar Rav Ktina. Rav Ktina said, Kol HaMitloses, mezonotav mitma'atim. It's not just the Yisurim come, but it will affect his parnasah in a serious way. Mezonotav mitma'atim. His parnasah will be lessened. Even though, it's very interesting, the Gemara says, in Masechet Betzah, Daf Tet Zayin Amud Aleph, the first line, Gemara says the same thing in Masechet Baba Batra, Daf Yud, that speaking especially about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, says, Kol mezonotav shel adam ketzuvot lo mi Rosh Hashanah ad Yom Kippurim. The mezonot, the parnasah of a person every year is set from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, sealed. That perhaps is a reference to the Gemara, to the other Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah Daf Tet Zayin, that tzadikim gemurim are nichtavim v'nechtamim le'altar l'chaim, l'shaim are nichtavim v'nechtamim le'altar, and benonim teluim v'omdim. That means the way we understand it. Again, the Gemara seems to say that they're written and sealed on Yom Kippur, but we generally speaking assume that the writing is on Rosh Hashanah, and you have time on a certain Tshuva until it's sealed. So, Rosh Hashanah ad Yom Kippurim, that's the period of time. But when Yom Kippur comes, your mezorot is already set. The Gemara there says, aside from the respect that you give to Shabbat, Yom Tov, and tuition for Jewish schools, right? Hotzat barav leTalmud Torah, the Gemara says that's not from the accounting of your parnasah, and same is when you go extra mile to spend a little bit, splurge a little bit for Shabbat and Yom Tov. Rambam writes when he brings this halakha, he says that kifi mamono. Of course, you have to be smart. Don't go write a $2,000 check for every suda to have steak if you can't afford it. But nevertheless, the mezorot of a person is set. You know what could destroy that? Says the Gemara, letzanut. Letzanut mezorotav mitpatin chas v'shalom. It will affect it in a negative way. Shene'emar, as it says, mashach yado elo sesim. The pasuk says he pulls his hand off from lotesim. That means the hand of Hakadosh Baruch Hu being zanum farnes mi karner mi vad betekinim, that will be pulled back if a person is a lotes, a letz. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Lakish says, Kol hamitlos. This is hard one. Nofel begenom. He'll get a first class invitation to a very warm place if he does letzanud. Right? Shenemar Zed Yahir Letzshemo. As the pasuk says, Zed Yahir Letzshemo. What does that mean? Ose be'evrat zadon. Letzshemo ose be'evrat zadon. So you see, a letz, someone that's called a letz, he goes to evrat zadon. What's evra? Ve'en evra ela geinom. And evra is always a reference to geinom. How do I know that? Different pasuk. Shenemar yom evra hayom ahu. It talks about geinam. It says that day, the day of judgment, is going to be a yom evra.
Can you talk about what is the definition of scoffer?
So again, generally speaking, is a person that makes fun, mocks serious things, right? Somebody, because sarcasm could be a part of it, right? Someone, is taking something seriously. You want to say, we're Baba, come on. That could be letzanut. That could be letzanut. Or someone that everything in life for them is letzanut. Or moshav letzim, the Gemara define the things that are not productive to a person's life is considered moshav letzim as well. Right? For instance, the Gemara said that the Romans had this entertainment of the bullfights and things that are not necessarily people will go to watch, and different. Gemara mentioned maybe around 10 different names of activities that they had as letzanut, or entertainments of pastime, which would be basically joking and taking everything lightly and making fun of people, of things. So those all could be part of letzanut.
Isn't there a Gemara that says something like the people who make people laugh, though, they got a special...
The Gemara, yes, correct. The Gemara in Masechet Makot, the Gemara does say that in the Chaf Aleph, that it says, Anshi doesn't say letzanut. It says they saw Eliyahu Navi in a marketplace, and they asked this Amora asked Eliyahu Navi, who is the Ben Haolam Haba, and showed them these two people, and he went and approached them and said, what do you do? I said, Enshi bedichi anan mebadchinan inshi. We are happy individuals and we make people happy. Right? Make people laugh. That does not mean that they are scoffers. That means sometimes you have to, and also that's why he says inshi bedichi. Yeah, they have to be happy people to make other people happy. But, a humor and letzanut are not the same thing. Humor is a positive thing. But making fun of serious things in life, right, in a negative way, when someone wants to do tshuva and you make fun of things and right, that's the definition of it. Or if a person has set themselves up for activities that are mamash letzanut, right? So that's the imagine if you would be. Now they have like the White House dinner that they roast each other, right? Or I'm not sure. I've never listened to it to see what it is exactly, but I would imagine that's like making fun of different people that are people of stature. And aside from Malbin Penei Chavero Barabim, there's no list of Isurim that you could write there, but part of it is when you have a serious personality or a serious topic and you make light of it, that's let's settle. So says the Gemara, Geinam is called Evra because it says Yom Evra Yom Hahu. Amar Rav Oshaya, Kol Amit Yahir. Once we brought this pasuk of Zed Yahir Letz Shemo, the Gemara in the name of Rav Oshaya darshins a different pasuk from that as well. Kol Amit Yahir, anyone that has Gava is going to also end up in Geinam. Nofel beGeinam. Shneimar Zed Yahir Letz Shemo. A person that is Zed Yahir. Yahir is Yuhara. Gava Letz Shemo. Ose be'evrat Zadon ve'nevra ela Geinam. Same thing. Shneimar Yom Evra Hayom Hahu. Amar Rav Chanilai Bar. It has to be Tachrifa. It's a different girsa over here on the side. If you take a look, tells you Amar Rav Tanchum ben Chanilai. Kol hamid lo says gorem klaya leolam. A person that is a scoffer causes destruction for not just himself, but for the world. That's a higher level of chidush over here. That you don't only affect yourself, but you could affect the surrounding of yours, people around you, family, community, the world, also could be affected in a negative way. Because it says the pasuk, Shenemar v'ata al titlosasu. You should not be a letz, you should not do letzanut. This is a pasuk in Yeshaya Navi, Perek Chavchet, v'ata al titlosasu, pen yechezeku moserechem. Maybe your Yisurim is going to be increased, and then, what does it say afterwards? Ki chalav v'nechrasa shamati. The end of the pasuk says that I have heard destruction, and that is a reference to not just a personal, but a destruction that affects the community, the broader group of people. Amar Rabbi Elazar Kashei Shetchilata Yisurin v'Sofa Kelaya. The letzanut is a difficult thing, because it starts with Yisurim, as we said before. Pen yechesku moserechem. So you read the pasuk like this. It's like, again, same pasuk in Yeshaya. Read it together with me. V'atal tidlosasu. Don't do letzanut. You know because what? Pen yechesku moserechem. First, you will have strong Yisurim, but then ki chalav nechrasa shamati vet Hashem. Now, if you don't stop it, sofo kilaya, it will end up destroying not just the person having Yisurim, but destruction on a higher scale, on a community level. Me'et Hashem Elokim tzvakot al kol haaretz. Like the pasuk says, it will be al kol haaretz. It will be on the entire earth and the whole community. So it says the Gemara, Darash Shimon ben Pazi. We go back now to the Psukim of Tehillim, in the beginning of Tehillim that we started with. Now we're done with darshaning the Psukim on Letzanut. We go back now. This whole thing started with us discussing B'moshav Letzim lo yashav, right? The Psukim, the first Psukim of Tehillim, Ashrei ha'is asher lo alach b'atzad ha'shayim, u'derech hatayim lo amad, u'b'moshav Letzim Lo yashav, kim betorat Hashem chafzo, betorato yegeu mamalala. Those are the psukim beginning the Tehillim. So says the pasuk, says the Gemara, darshaning it again. Ashrei haish asher lo alach b'atzad ha'shayim is talking about tartiaot or karkasyaot shel ovdei kochavim. That's talking about going to the batet tartiaot v'karksaot that we discussed before. Uvderech hatayim lo amad. What do you mean he doesn't stand in the pathway of sinners? Zesh lo amad be'kenigyon. What is kenigyon? What do you have there? It had sedat chayot. If you take a look at the last line in Rashi, the wide line, sedat chaya al yedei klavim. It was like again, an activity that they used to have by going with hunting dogs and going and basically passing time with killing animals and haunting them That's also the pasuk over here calls it derech chataim. Again, we discussed this before at some point that the Nodab Yehuda was asked this question whether or not it's mutar to go hunting, right, as an activity, and he says first of all it's not bal tashchit, it's also not tzar bal chaim. He writes, but it says it's bitul Torah. Moshe, well, what are you doing, wasting time? It says we only find who to be a hunter. Esav was a hunter. Who else was a hunter? Ishmael. It's like not a Jewish thing, he says. He says, when do you find Jews being hunters, right? You don't find, especially for activities, like it's a tarif, you can't eat it, it's just for fun. So therefore, it says even though that there's no Sar Bal Haim and there's no Bal Tashchit, those questions are not there, but at the same time is considered Bitul Torah and not necessarily a Jewish activity. Here again comes another aspect of it, that this Kinigyon is hunting with hunting dogs, and the Gemara says that's considered Derech Hatai. So says the Gemara, maybe you will say the following. You say, well, Shema Yomar Adam. Oh, well, we skipped half a line. Umoshav letzim lo yashav, shelo yashav betachbulot. Moshav letzim lo yashav means he doesn't involve himself in these activities that the goyim have. Now, says the Gemara, maybe a person will say, well, I'm not going to do any of these things, but I'm going to go to my pillow and my blanket. Gishmak. Et gareh b'shena. I'm just going to go roll in my bed and sleep a nice, good, extra 5 hours, right? So it says the Gemara, Shema Yomar Adam hoil velo alachti letartiaot or karkasaot. Maybe because I can't go out into these activities, Sunday morning I'm just going to sleep, right? If I'm not going to the beach and I'm not going to the theaters and cinemas, so let me just sleep, right? Says the Gemara, no. It doesn't stop there. Ashrei ha'isha shelo halach b'tzad reshaim, uvderech hatayim lo amad, umoshav lotzim lo yashav. And what's the next pasuk? Ki im betorat Hashem chefso, ubetorato yegi yomam v'layla. He loves the Torah of Hashem and he learns the Torah yomam v'layla, day and night. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar Rabbi Yohatan Ashrei ha'isha shelo halach b'atzad reshaim. Now the Gemara darshins this on Avraham Avinu. Ze Avraham Avinu shelo halach b'atzad anshe doro. Avraham Avinu had a part of his life in Dora Palaga. And Dora Palaga were people who wanted to fight Hashem. Right? That's part of Let's Hava Nivnei Ir. Let's build a city and build a tower and go up and fight for Hashem. Right, the Tower of Babel. Shereshaim ayu, shenemar hava nivnei lanu ir. That whole series of psukim there that they wanted to go fight Hakadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, kaviyachol. Ubederech chataim lo amad, shelo amad be'amidat sedom, shchataim ayu. He also did not go be dragged after Sedom. Lot was, right? Sedom was the hotbed of Arayot and Letzanut and all of that. Hataim ayu, shenemar v'anshe Sodom ra'im v'hataim la'Hashem me'od. They were sinners. U'moshav letzim lo yashav, shelo yashav b'moshav anshe Pelishtim. That he didn't sit with anshe Pelishtim. How do we know Pelishtim were Letzanim? Says the Gemara, mipenei sheletzanim ayu shenemar v'yehi ketov libam. When this is the Pelishtim, after they had already taken Shimshon captive, and they wanted to have parties, and they would bring Shimshon to do Letzanut. This was activities that they did, right? Activities of Letzanut. So says the Gemara, let's call Shimshon and he will do Letzanut in front of us. So you see that Avraham Avinu was that Ashrei Ha'ish that did not follow any of these three things that was available in his time. Now, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue this. We're still amidst this Jashot, and we'll discuss maybe some very interesting Marshas and Ben Ishchais in the Ben Yoyada in the next Shiur. Chazak Baruch.